Hello everyone, welcome to Grow Up Level Up, an interview podcast where we talk to folks about the fun and games that helped us grow up. I'm Samson, and in this podcast, I do interviews with people and explore the childhood games, whether it's video games, tabletop games, playground games, and more, that helped them grow up and had an impact in their life. I also talk to them about the types of games and fun experiences that they choose to participate in today. The goal of this podcast is to highlight the importance that fun has in our lives and relationships, whether it's growing up, present day, or in the future. Without further ado, let's bring in our guest for this episode of Grow Up, Level Up. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another new episode of Grow Up, Level Up. As you can see, we're not in our studio today. We are recording online over the interwebs. And our guest is very special. I'll introduce them in a bit, but it's somebody from the industry, which I don't actually get too many of. Somebody who's been working in games for a really, really long time. So I hope you're excited to hear their insight and their journey on how they ended up maybe straying away from video games, but ultimately coming back and working and creating more video games. But before that, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Samson. I am the host of this show I'm calling Grow Up, Level Up. It's an interview podcast where we talk to folks about how they integrate games and fun into their lives as adults in their careers. And also, we'll talk a little bit about their childhood journey growing up and how games and fun kind of influence their upbringing. A little bit of housekeeping real quick. If you like this podcast, if you don't like it, I'd love to know. Please leave a comment on YouTube or Spotify, or direct message me at Grow Up Level Up on all the socials. If you do like it, I'd love it if you would subscribe and keep up week to week with our shows. And in exciting news, there should be a Discord community up now for all you listeners to maybe chat with our guests, chat with myself, and give me some suggestions on what you think we should do on the show, and if you have any future topic ideas. So the link for this Discord community will be in the description below. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our guest for Grow Up, Level Up today. Today, we are thrilled to be joined by none other than Mike Gallagher. He's the esteemed marketing director at Hothead Games. He has an impressive career in the online marketing landscape, going from EA and the Red Truck Beer Company, and now at Hothead Games, spearheading their marketing department. Today, we're going to be chatting about what it means to market in the games industry. For those who don't know what marketing is, it's how do you get people to know what your game is and what your product you're selling. We'll also chat about Mike's personal journey, retracing his steps from being a young video game enthusiast, falling out of the hobby, and ultimately coming back and giving back to the industry. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mike Gallagher. Woohoo!
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
welcome to the show. Yeah. For those watching the video version, I'm in my super secret, totally legitimate base, and Mike is in his studio over at... you said you were at the offices at Hothead?
Yeah, I've commandeered our audio department's recording booth at the Hothead offices.
it looks
I'm used to. Yeah, I'm used to working remotely now for the last, since 2020. So being in office and being in somewhere that you can actually have like soundproofing and dampening on the walls is it's different. Reminiscent of better times.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I came from a sound design background as well. I studied sound design at VFS, and those sound booth rooms, I remember at first they were kind of claustrophobic because they're always so small and carpeted. But after a while, I don't know, I found it kind of cozy because it's quiet. It's like soft everywhere, so you can really just sit on the ground.
Yeah, this one's not soft on the ground, but it's got some carpeting.
That's awesome. So before we get into the conversation, I'd love to know, what are you drinking today on the podcast? What'd you bring for keep your mouth moist?
I have a crisp cold glass of Vancouver fresh water.
Oh, yes. Is it tap water or filtered?
Oh, only tap. Only tap.
See, that's like that's actually such a like a Vancouver thing. Like that I actually had to learn. I didn't know like tap water was frowned upon in other places of the world, but in Vancouver,
No
you just
way.
pull it straight from the tap. Yeah,
No way. As fresh as it comes, right?
yeah.
Kilometers away from the source.
That's true. That's true. I have a friend. His dad, I think, is an engineer in one of the cities, and he, what's the word? He's like adamant about drinking tap water because he's worked on all those pipes. He knows it's good. So buying water is like out of the question. For me, I have this purple. Oh no, it's not showing up on the camera. Okay, this purple bubbly like
Oh, you got the
soda
purple
water.
bubbly drink.
Yeah, it's
Buble.
it's sparkling water, Buble. Yeah, Michael Buble. And it's the purple one. It's left over from a barbecue, and I'm kind of scared what purple tastes like, but we'll see.
Get at it. Let us know. Let the people know.
Oh,
Like grape.
yeah, it's like the fake grape taste, like in medicine and stuff. Not my favorite one, but quite refreshing on this nice Vancouver sunny day. So my other question for you is, could be a loaded one. What are your top 3 games of all time? Could be video games or tabletop games, or anything really. Yeah.
Okay. Dragon Age Inquisition.
Oh, okay.
StarCraft OG.
Yeah.
And OG Magic the Gathering card sets.
Oh,
Not the online version, none of the digital stuff, in person. Only way to go.
nice.
But I'll preface that I have not played Magic the Gathering in probably 15 years. So anybody who's like still collecting and still playing, don't hit me up. I don't have any cards left. I don't remember how to play. It's just like one of those games that I really, really wish that I still knew how to play. I'll go onto YouTube. I don't know about you, but I'll still go onto YouTube and like watch pack opening videos of people trying to find the Black Lotus and just looking and analyzing. I don't know. I love those videos. They do them for Pokemon too, but Magic is just way
was the
cooler.
OG. They invented that thing.
Yeah, none of the Yu-Gi-Oh, none of that Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. None of the other offshoots. Like just OG Magic.
What's the popular one right now? Flesh and Blood. Have you heard of Flesh and Blood?
Oh no.
it's one that I kind of want to look into, but right, it's a big big hole to go into deep dive. But that's interesting. Your 3 games, they're actually all quite different because one's like a story adventure, one is like a strategy game, and the other one is an in-person type of strategy game.
Yeah. I don't know. And I'd like now when I play games, I'm a solo RPG player. Like I just love to, cut out all the noise and just dive in.
What game are you kind of playing through right now, if I may ask?
Diablo 4, obviously.
Okay. Yeah.
But before that, oh my God, what did I just finish? I just finished the Final Fantasy VII remake. I crushed Hogwarts Legacy. God of War Ragnarok before that. Horizons Forbidden West before that. Oh my God, what else did I play? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like you could probably get the theme of what I like to play, but like these solo RPG story narrative driven games. I mean, I've got a 3-month-old now at home, so I don't have time to play socially with all my friends. So all those, they're all playing Call of Duty and stuff like that, and I'm like, I can't do it. I don't have the twitch reflexes to play those types of games, and just get beat up by a bunch of 14-year-olds. It just doesn't work for me anymore.
It's not enjoyable in the like 2 hours you get a day. Is to completely get smoked.
So I'm like at 9:00 at night. As soon as the kid's down, I log in and try to level up as best I can.
Awesome. Well, I mean, all those games. Honestly, I'm a little jealous that you have such a resume in all those games, because God of War Ragnarok, I never finished, and then along came like Tears of the Kingdom, and I'm playing through that and enjoying it, and I'm not finished, and then I got gifted Final Fantasy 16, and now I'm playing that, and I was like, I just don't finish these games.
I've got Final Fantasy 16 downloaded and ready to go. So as soon as I'm done Diablo, that's next up. And I've got a friend who works at EA, and they got me. Oh my God, I can't remember the Jedi Survivor or whatever their new Star Wars game is, and Dead Space. but they're in the packages under the TV. I have no idea when I'm going to get to them. Like I have, oh my God, what's that other game coming out? Atlas something. I can't remember. People of the podcast who are listening, look it up and comment it in the comment section below.
Yeah.
Um,
Atlas.
and
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called. I keep wanting to say Atlas Genius, but I think that's a band. I don't think that's the right one. Anyways, I've got that on pre-order, and I'm waiting for that to come in sometime in August as well too. So
Cool.
there's too many games and there's not enough time.
That is the truth. I'm like, I feel like as folks who work full time, like, and then you have chores and responsibilities to take care of, it's, yeah, you get home and you're like, I want to relax. But, well, to be fair, this year has been a really, really good year for video games. If you play them month to month, like, yeah.
Yeah, it's been unreal.
That's awesome. Well, for Magic, going back to that, what you said you played like 15 years ago. You haven't played for 15 years, and it's still in your top 3?
I bet it's probably even longer than 15 years. And I put it in my top 3 because it's some of the best memories I have playing a game. Was playing Magic with my friends, like, staying up way too late on the weekends. And I'm talking like early high school, like elementary school type, years. Trying to pull the 24-hour all-nighter, between between playing like Risk and Magic the Gathering, staying up for 24 hours, drinking way too much soda pop and having pizza that someone's mom bought us and just like rebuilding decks and battling them out and then rebuilding our decks and battling them out. Yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
like, never serious about it, but it's just such a core memory of my childhood was doing this. So just because of that, it's still top 3.
That's awesome. That's that kind of stuff is a little harder to do as adults. So I can see it holding that top 3 for a long time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I've recently started to get back into Magic the Gathering, similar to you, just watching the unpacking videos. Because I don't know when I'll have time to build decks and go in person to play anymore. It's a lot more of a commitment.
Yeah, I tried to download the virtual or the digital version. Couldn't get into it. Same with Hearthstone. Couldn't get into it. There's just, I don't know, I miss the tactile nature of playing with with cards, but like you said, it's just too hard to do it in person now.
Yeah,
too many responsibilities.
Yeah, you have to like go at a specific time or organize a group of people. Like even getting my friends together for D&D is hard now too. That's awesome. Well, we kind of just touched on it now, but I'd love to learn more about your gaming journey growing up. You mentioned you played games as a kid, but then you kind of fell off and you came back to gaming, and now you work in the games industry. Can you tell me what your journey and timeline was like growing up with video games?
Yeah, sure. So I took a sip of water because I know this is going to be a long spiel. Prepping myself. So, oh man, where do we even begin? I guess my very first memory of, video games being some part of my life, I was in kindergarten and I was in a cast. I don't remember if I like broke my ankle or my leg. I don't know. It's one of those things where I had a cast when I was in kindergarten. And my cousin felt really bad for me, my older cousin. So he lent me his original Nintendo with the Duck Hunter orange gun and Mario World. Those are the only 2 games I had. And I played for hours and hours and hours. And then, they take the cast off and he's like, my parents are like, okay, you got to give it back. And I was like, what? Like, what? You can't just tease me like this. So they, a couple of years later, kind of, life goes on, don't really have anything to play. And my neighbor was having a garage sale and they were selling their old Game Boy. And I had been, as kids do, selling lemonade and washing cars for, the
Mowing
neighbors,
lawns,
that kind of thing. Yeah. So I had saved up a bit of pocket change and I saw this thing for sale. They had a couple cartridges. They had, it was Final Fantasy and Tetris.
Oh,
And
classic.
I remember them, yeah, classics. And I bought the thing. And I remember being like, I have no idea what I'm doing in Final Fantasy. This game does not make any sense, but for some reason I am hooked. Right. And
Yeah.
there's like the old save files on there. So I was loading up other people's games and playing, in levels I had no business playing in, instead of starting from the beginning. And all I could think is I'm ruining somebody's progress, and like I shouldn't be doing this. But it got me back into it, and it was kind of, it was fun. Excuse me. Couple years past that, I came home. It was, sometime in elementary school, and my mom had a gift for me. I just see this box wrapped on the kitchen table. Middle of the summer, nothing special. It's just random day, and she goes, "I got you a gift," and I was like, "Oh, why? It's not my birthday. It's not Christmas, anything like that." And she's like, "Oh, just I don't know, parent stuff. You've been really good lately," kind of thing, right? And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, this is weird. Like,
It's just
I remember this thinking. I remember being like, "What's the catch here? What's the catch?"
yeah.
And I opened it, and it was a Nintendo 64 with an extra controller and Wave Racer.
Wow.
And I was like, "Yo, let's go!" Like,
Yeah.
what is going on here?
And this wasn't even like a
Um,
birthday or Christmas or anything?
no, no. I don't know.
Out of the
She's
blue.
still, to this day, she's just like, "Yeah, I don't know. We just felt like giving you a treat." And I was
That's
like,
awesome.
awesome. It's one of those, like, those memories that's from childhood that you always hold and you always bring back. And
Mhm.
it was that one. I
Awesome.
played Wave Racer for hours and hours and hours, to the point I was so obsessed with it. But like, I mean, I didn't have any other games. My parents weren't gamers. They didn't understand, that, you need more than one game to, use the console. And so
Mm.
they're just like, "Well, you have a game. Why do you need more?" Like, and
Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, I beat this thing like probably 50 times,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
let's go down to
Aw
Rogers and like,
yeah.
let's rent one or something." Right. Anyways, I built, I used to like be really crafty when I was a kid. And so I built my own fake jet ski out of cardboard boxes and like toilet paper roll tubes and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I jerry rigged my controller into the middle of it so that I could pretend to be even more immersive when I was
Yeah.
playing, And so I'd sit down, with like my knees straddled over the thing like you would. And I would just like, I'd
Wow.
get so into it. Um,
It's the
and I just
original
remember
VR.
being, yeah, right. Yeah. Bringing arcade back home.
Yeah.
And then, life kind of unfolds and you go from there, and, other consoles and PC and yada, yada, yada. Get a lot more social with gaming. And one of my friends introduced me to StarCraft, throw back to my top three, right?
Mhm.
And we would play, God, we would rush home from school and play StarCraft. We'd
Mhm.
finish our homework at like, you know, 3:30, half hour after we got to school. We'd be like, "Everyone
Nice.
crush it," because we're meeting on BattleNet at like 4 o'clock, right? Like, and I'm like, "Okay, let's do it." And we would, we'd play for hours, right? We'd play teams, we'd play 1v1, 2v2, we divvy it up and just climb those leaderboards. And
Mhm.
we would play forever. It was so much fun. To the point where, again, there's probably another theme here. We were in math class together in high school, and one of the projects was go make a board game.
Oh.
And they're like, get a group going, and build a board game, and there has to be math equations as part of your strategy or whatever. The
Mhm.
gameplay has to have math equations in it.
Mhm.
And so me and my three buddies, we made a fake StarCraft board game
Mhm.
with math equations to see how much damage you would deal to your opponents.
Nice.
It was basically, we just recreated StarCraft, but then, instead of
Yeah.
like a Zergling attack, and they're like, they're going at you, we're like, okay,
Yeah.
well, what is 2 times 2? 4. Okay, you deal 4 damage. It was like so basic, but it was just a reason for us to be
Hey,
more
but
immersed in the game.
yeah.
Um,
In
and
the end,
then,
you learn
like,
math as well. Yeah.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, not just math, we learned how to teach math.
Wow.
Uh,
Oh, true,
and
true.
so, yeah, so, then life kind of goes on, and I actually moved. So I moved from, for those of you who listening are from Vancouver, I moved from Burnaby to Port Moody, which, it's not a big move, but when you're, in high school,
Mhm.
that's worlds away, worlds
Mhm.
away. It's a whole highway system away.
Yeah.
And I kind of just got out of it. as high school kind of went on. We'd play Mario Kart and have Mario Kart parties or, GoldenEye parties or something like that. But I never really picked up that magic of, all the games that we would play um, in early high school, and we got into
Mhm.
like skateboarding and, I'm a big mountain biker now and got into mountain biking and really started to get into the outdoors and camping
Mhm.
and stuff like that. We had
Mm.
cars, we had freedom,
Yeah,
who wants to be tied to a computer when you've got your
that's
driver's
true.
license, right?
True.
And, so life just kind of like took us in a different direction and, it took us from away from being behind the screen and took us, into the outdoors.
Were you
Um,
still sorry, were you still in, like, contact with all the friends that you did play games with, or when you moved, you kinda broke away from that group?
No, this is all pre-social media. I'm not gonna date
Mm.
myself, but, or age myself, but
Yeah.
this was all pre-social media. Um, so no, we kind of all lost touch, and, you make new friends, new
Yeah,
schools, new friends, right? So
it's natural.
it just kind of worked out that way that, we just kinda went our separate ways.
Mhm. So you kinda branched off from games, you got into, like, more outdoorsy stuff, like cars and going out. I actually kinda wanna ask you about that side of your hobby, like,
Sure.
what other outdoorsy things did you get into in the high
Yeah,
school age?
so me and my new group of friends,
Mhm.
they were big mountain bikers. And so, we lived in Port Moody, right in the base of Eagle Mountains. So we had access to all sorts of different trails, and the sport was pretty young at the time. But there was some jump tracks. There's like there's like a BMX track at this little lake in the area called Lafarge Lake,
Mhm.
and we spent all our time at the skate parks, at the bike tracks on the trail.
Mhm.
For me, honestly, it was just a way for me to make friends at first.
Yeah.
And then it just kinda, went to the next level. One of my other real hobbies and passions was filmmaking and videos and cinema and that kinda thing. And, I got really into it.
Mhm.
I wasn't the best mountain biker of the group, but I was the guy with the camera. So
Yeah.
I got I got pulled out to film them and take
Oh,
photos
that's cool.
and
Yeah.
make little videos. And so, I guess again, I'm starting to see this own theme and thread of making things for, from games and
True.
fake jet skis, but making film and video of my friends. And, we'd go out and spend hours, get
Mhm.
different angles, we get different lines, redo it, shoot it, and then go, hang out
Yeah.
and watch all our clips on the TV and show our parents, and they just
Yeah.
shake their head and tell us crazy, right? But, uh, so it all started to like point in that direction. And that side of my life never really went away, right? Like
Mhm.
I kind of really stayed grounded in the outdoors. Like now with my career being, so digital and spending so much time online, staring at screens, playing
Mhm.
games, um, going to it's just all digital, 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 screen, screen,
Yeah.
screen. So I still get a lot of like, I guess, refreshing myself and rejuvenation by going out into the forest. I live
Yeah.
in North Vancouver now, and we live at the base of a mountain, and I go hiking every day with my
Nice.
dogs,
Wow. Yeah.
at least a couple hours, an hour before work and an hour after kind of thing, if I'm not on my
Yeah.
bike. So
Yeah.
I find that it's just a really great way for me to level myself out and to ground myself and
Totally.
not get just sucked into being stuck on a computer or stuck in front of a
Mhm.
TV all day.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Well, a couple things I want to point out. Like, yeah, I totally agree that going outside, getting grounded, taking time away from screens is such a necessary thing, not just for your physical health, but your mental health. Like, and in Vancouver, we're lucky to live so close to nature and be able to do that. I like how you shouted out Lafarge Lake. That's kind of where I grew up as well, so I know that bike track well. And yeah, I spent my fair share of time there. But yeah, I think
We probably bump past.
yeah, that's crazy. Small world.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing I wanted to point out was yeah, there's actually a theme of creating stuff throughout your childhood and leading up to now, even with your career at Hothead, and we'll dive into that for sure. Um, but I think for our younger audience, like making videos was actually very, very special back then before everyone had a camera in their pocket. Like it was like a thing with a giant box you got to bring around. I'm trying to describe a video camera. I'm not sure if I'm doing it well, but you had to like,
It's like this.
yeah, and you had to hold it. You had to replace tapes and putting on it, and you don't get to see it until like hours later on the TV. So it is very special that you were able to record and make videos back then. Yeah.
So I got to tell you a funny story because like when I first started, we would take the camcorder and I'd take a boombox and we'd pick a song. We'd be like, this is the song that we want to have as like our track, you know?
Oh, okay.
And we would go, okay, press play on the boombox and press record at the same time.
Yeah.
And we would hope that it would sync up, right? So we'd go, duh. Buddy goes and does his thing. As soon as he's done, duh, both stop and both off. Go to the next spot. Duh, get the second shot. Do its thing. Duh, turn it off. And by the end of it, I mean, you could tell there was cuts and stuff like that. But
yeah,
you know, just to for your younger audience, you know, you don't really get to just download a sound library and just sync it afterwards. It was all manual. Yeah. It was
awesome.
Fun though. It was fun.
It was, and it wasn't like it was definitely harder than what it is now. But back then, yeah, it was really cool that you made this video that you can potentially keep forever, not online or and all that.
It's on. So we actually ended up making like a full feature length, like mountain bike DVD.
Oh, cool.
I don't even have a copy of it anymore. I printed 200 copies and we sold them just to people and at school and our friends and stuff like that. Yeah. Everyone was in it, right? And sell it for $10 or whatever.
That's awesome.
And I don't even have a copy of it anymore.
Wow.
And so I've got a few friends who still have it, and I'm like, can you please find a way to digitize this to me and bring it back to me? And they're like, I don't know anybody with like a CD-ROM drive anymore that could even rip or burn DVDs.
It's true. Yeah,
you got to go to London Drugs, and it's like $50 or something like that. Anyways, doesn't matter. Yeah. That's an aside. That's for another day.
No, I'm pretty sure I still have some of those DVDs as well that are like just sitting in like a pile of those stacks. That have those like school projects on from when we were like in that middle school age. So yeah, I don't even have a CD drive anymore, to be honest. Who does? No, that's awesome. So this was around the high school age. How did you end up at where you are now at Hothead Games in your career?
Yeah, so let me take another sip of water because this is going to be another long answer.
Yeah.
As soon as I left high school, I actually went to film school, and I went like immediately, like that next September, and I graduated. Right as I guess right after I turned 19. It's like a 2-year program, and I worked in the film industry for probably just around 7 years.
Wow.
That was it. That was what I wanted to do, right? Like I always knew I wanted to be in entertainment in some sort of capacity. I didn't really know what was available. I mean, film school is great, kind of refines your ability to know the technical aspects of how to make creative, right? In a time, like we were saying, when you didn't have video editing software on your phone and an unlimited library of audio on TikTok, right?
Yeah,
different time. Anyways, I went into the film industry. I worked in a variety of different positions. I was a PA. I worked on. I was an assistant director. I directed music videos. I worked in props. I worked in continuity. I started my own motion graphics company and video production company. Just little side stuff. Because the industry was just so. It's not consistent. You work for a month, you have a month off. You work for 3 months, you have a month off, and it just depends on the show you're on, right? Like there's no. It's not like you get a job and you work, 5 days a week. Yeah. You get a job, and then once the job's done, you don't have a job. Right. And so this was fine when I was in my early 20s and stuff like that. But as I kind of continued my career and kind of climbed up that ladder, working 15 hours a day, 5 days a week, it burns you out, and I was like, it was 25 or 26, and I had like a bad back, and you know what I mean? I was like, I'm getting grays and stuff. I'm like, this is way too early for this.
The stress and the physical work is a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went back to school. And I went back to school for marketing and communications. And did that thing, traveled through Europe, did the did that thing for a summer and kind of regrounded myself before diving into my new life, as it were.
Hmm.
Came out of that, I got a job, funny enough, in the PR industry for the entertainment industry. So I was doing PR for film and television.
Mm.
So really nice, easy transition from from working on set from a creative industry to being 9 to 5 in the business side of things.
Cool.
Did that for a bit. Fast forward, a couple of jobs later, one of my managers reached out to me. She had just gotten a job back at EA as the senior director of communications or something like that, and said, "Hey, I know you're looking for something new. You grew up in Vancouver. You like hockey. There is this opportunity to work on the NHL and the UFC franchises as their
Hmm.
engagement strategist. You interested in applying?" I was like, "Yes." Because anybody who grew up in Canada who played shell is like, that is like a second religion to them.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
definitely. Yeah.
and as a lifelong hockey fan, I was like, yeah, get me on that as soon as possible. What do I
What?
need to do?
Yeah. What a
And so it was
flex too.
awesome.
You can tell
Oh,
your
dude,
friends, it's like, dude, yeah, I worked on NHL. No big deal.
it was fun, man, and the team was awesome. But like, it's such, and the cool thing about it was such a small team, right? Like if you look at
Mm.
EA,
Hmm.
FIFA, and well, they don't call it FIFA anymore, but FC or whatever,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. EAFC, I think.
EAFC, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, they've got like almost that entire campus. There's thousands of people who are working on this game.
Hmm.
And we're like the little stepchild, up in the
Oh,
corner. There's like
interesting.
30 of us. And so um, it was a really great opportunity to learn the gaming business industry, right?
Hmm.
Because there's very few people. I'm working with like the live ops team, working with the ads team, working with the marketing team, the brand team, and everybody is like together. Right.
Hmm.
Like I tap them on the shoulder and it's like the head of branding for, all of North America is like right there. Like, hey, what do you think about this? How do I do this? How do I manage this?
Yeah.
So it was a really great opportunity to like learn the industry and learn how it works. And to be honest, like going back to what you're asking me, how did I transition from, being a not having anything to do with games to being
Hmm.
in games professionally? I had no intention of ever getting into games professionally.
Right.
This just kind of happened. And you know, it so it was tough, right? It's tough.
Hmm.
I mean, first of all, anyone who's not a gamer who listens to this and is interested in getting into the gaming industry, you don't need to be a gamer to work in games. There's a lot of people out there who don't who don't play games on a regular basis. They're not core gamers or whatever you
Hmm.
want to call them. They're not
Hardcore
hardcore
gamers.
gamers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, they're just fans of tech or fans of the industry or whatever. You don't need to have that level of knowledge. It helps,
Hmm.
and the gaming communities definitely and the companies foster the sense of like, hey, we should have gaming nights together where all the teams play, and know the product. Because I mean, it's like any industry. You have to know your product, right? Otherwise, you're not gonna be able to sell it.
Yeah.
Um, and so, I kind of just like fell into this role and got hooked, right? Uh,
Hmm.
Playing with all my friends, my colleagues, stuff like that. I'm the kind of guy who just like dives in headfirst and tries to learn as much as I can. And so
Hmm.
went out and bought a PS, I think it was PS4 at the time,
Hmm.
uh, and downloaded a ton of games, played like every night. My
You
wife was
were
like,
you were doing your research.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was
Well, that's,
research for work, right?
that's yeah, exactly, right. My wife was like, "Are you really gonna become a gamer?" I'm like, "I have to do it for work. Like this is research. I'm taking my work home with me, right?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so, from there, unfortunately, I was on a contract, and this is another thing about um, the games industry, especially right now. For anyone who's paying attention to it, there's a lot of layoffs going on right now. It's you can kind of classify that, I guess, as tech as a whole. There's this sense of like when the industry is really good, everybody who's in it reaps the rewards, right? So that's why so many people in the tech industry get paid really well,
Mm.
um, that kind of thing, because there's ups and downs, right? As soon as
Okay.
the stock price crashes or VC funding dries up, that kind of stuff, the company's got to they have to make sure their books look good for their shareholders, and unfortunately that's when the mass layoffs happen, right? I'm not an economist, so I don't know if that's the exact way that it works, so people don't
Yeah.
please don't correct me. I'm just going by what I
It's
know, what I hear.
it sounds about right.
But
It's kind of what's
yeah,
happening right now as well. So
totally.
yeah.
But that's kind of the way the industry works, right?
Mhm.
And so unfortunately, I was the casualty of the last round of mass layoffs at EA.
Mhm.
Um, but I landed on my feet as the director of player experience at Hyper Hippo Games, which is a mobile game studio based up
Mhm.
in Kelowna.
Yeah.
They're remote now, so they're all over. I think they're California, Ontario. Anyway, it doesn't matter. They're all over North America.
Mhm.
Uh, and I went there, and so I transitioned from console to mobile games, which I had no idea what that was going to be like.
You got to do more
Uh,
research.
yeah,
It's like
exactly.
buying a
Yeah,
new
exactly.
iPhone. It's like, oh, I need this.
That's exactly what I did. And so
Yeah.
I had the new iPhone and I had the new Android. I don't even remember what numbers they were
Yeah.
back then. But just download everything and trying to play everything. And that was right around the
Mhm.
time that Clash of Clans was really big.
Oh,
And
okay.
so
Yeah.
when it first came out, and so again, please don't age me or try to you can look at my LinkedIn if you
Good
want to
try.
see when that was. But yeah, it again, it was all about socialization with gaming, right?
Oh,
And
okay.
so again, you just get sucked into the environment and working with these people.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and it was awesome. And so I worked there for about 3.5 years, give or take. Built out a team of about 20. We built this like internal creative agency that was, animation, illustration, graphic design, and we
Mhm.
ran all of the again community side of things, advertising side of things, that kind of stuff. Um, it was really fun. I was blessed to have the fun job, and kind of took about as far as I could go, and but there was one kind of component to like my skill set that I didn't really know, and that was user acquisition or like the paid marketing side or paid media side of things. And so
Okay.
when I transitioned over to Hothead, when I left Hyper Hippo, was with the intention of trying to learn that side of the business.
Okay.
And so I've been at Hothead now for about a year and a half, and yeah, it's been good. It's been
Cool.
interesting.
Yeah.
Completely different
Well,
type of portfolio, but it's I've learned, and that's the thing, like I've learned so much on this crazy games journey,
yeah.
because it's such a big industry.
Mhm.
If you look at the total value of it, it's bigger than film and music combined.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
it's not looked that way. It's still looked at like the nerdy little side entertainment industry, but it's not. It's
Yeah.
it's massive. There's so much going on, and there's just so much that you can learn and that you can do. And now that companies like Unity have made these products that anyone can make a game, uh, it's blowing up even more. It's
Yeah.
really cool. It's a really cool time to be in games.
Yeah, that's really cool you brought that up. I think yeah, one of the rumors is that gaming is for those like basement dwellers, live in mom's basement. But no, it is bigger than movies and music. That's completely true, and everybody, if you really think about it, is a gamer. Like you play games on your phone. Lots of people socialize by playing games every night. Lots of people unwind by playing games every night over like watching TV, for example. Um, yeah. So we got to kind of the present where we are now at Hothead Games. You said you transitioned there to learn more about user acquisition. Can you explain a little bit more about what you do at Hothead Games and what that is?
Yeah. So as marketing director, my job is basically to maintain the health and the player base and grow the player base in a profitable way for our games.
Oh,
We're at an interesting place right now, whereas us as a studio are not making new games right now. We have some other games on the side, and we're looking at some longer term projects that we're investigating. But we're actually in the process of transitioning from a publisher to a work for hire studio where we're developing games for other partners. So
hmm.
like a brand holder or an IP holder or someone like that who's like, hey, I I don't know, trying to think of an example. I've got I own the rights to Barbie, and the new Barbie
Hmm.
movie's coming out, and we want to, make the Barbie game.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and shout out to Fall Guys, because they're already doing this with
With their game.
Mattel and Barbie. Yeah, they're doing
Oh,
something
okay.
coming out soon about it. So, I'm
Cool.
just kind of making something up. So don't say that. Don't hold me to this. It's not a thing that we're
Yeah.
working on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so we're actually working on this transition from building our own games to building other people's games for them. And so a lot of what my job is right now is helping restructure the marketing stack, basically, to point us in a new direction. And
Hmm.
so instead of pointing us to user acquisition, which is paid spend, super hyper aware of like all the little intricacies of conversion rates and CPIs, or the cost per installs, or return on ad spend, or LTV, lifetime value, that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
We're looking entirely on how can we grow the funnel of potential studios that would want to hire Hothead as a development studio or development partner. So completely different, completely different. But
Interesting.
it's
Okay.
also,
Yeah.
and to go back to what we were saying, it's a completely different side of the gaming space that a lot of people aren't aware of like games as a service, or it's almost like a SaaS,
Mhm.
software as a service style model, but with bringing interactive
Mhm.
components to
Yeah.
IP.
Yeah. Well, bringing the business jargon in, it sounds like you're moving from B to C
Sorry.
to B to B kind of thing. No, it's all good. It's all
Exactly,
good.
exactly,
I think
exactly.
sometimes. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Is that like, uh, well, to me as an outsider, I feel like that's such a like you're flipping your whole company's revenue stream on its head.
Yeah.
Is like how are you managing that as the marketing director? Like, are you marketing to businesses now instead of marketing to consumers?
Yes.
Okay.
It's taking me back, to be honest, it's taking me back to my roots, right? Taking me back to some of the other companies that I worked for before I was in gaming, when I was in
Hmm.
agency and that kind of stuff. You know, it's it's pros it's prospecting,
Mhm.
it's finding studios that we want to connect with, and figuring out ways to get in their inbox. I mean, right now we're working as like a small tech startup. Like, we're just trying to be scrappy and reach out to people
Wow.
on LinkedIn, and cold calling and stuff like that, which
Mhm.
doesn't sound super sophisticated, but um, that's what you have to do, right? When you're doing these types of pivots, like, you just have to kind of get the word out there. And so, a part of my job as well too is really PR and earned media.
Hmm.
Finding opportunities to get the founders of the company and the executive suite on talking about what they're doing, getting news coverage, getting building SEO strategies, and building
Mhm.
like lead magnets and stuff like that, so that people can actually find us when they're looking for our service, right?
Cool.
We're new. There is a lot of other people out there who have been doing this for a lot longer than we have.
Mhm.
We have a long ways to go. We have a long ways to go to get our
Yeah.
funnel working, and it's a fun challenge. It's a different challenge,
Mhm.
and it's definitely flexing our brains a little bit
Yeah.
to try to go back and reframe our entire way of thinking.
Yeah. Well, if there's any folks out there that want to hire Hothead and your team, how can they get into contact with you?
Oh, the shill, eh?
Oh.
They can, yeah, they can just go to hotheadgames.com, and we've got a contact form. Our sales guy, Patrick, would be glad to take your call.
Awesome. Awesome. And is there any like specific types of games you guys specialize in or have found success in the past?
Uh, Success in the past, as in like our old portfolio, or do you mean like what we're working on as like a work for hire place?
Yeah, sorry, what you're working on as a work for hire place.
Yeah, so we just got registered as Microsoft, so Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo developers. So we've got those
Oh.
registrations now, so we can do full console packages. Obviously, we're very versed in iOS and Android and
Mhm.
everything mobile. You know, I guess we just finished doing a metaverse prototype for a company I can't name,
Sure.
because
Yeah.
it's all under an NDA, and for
Yeah.
those of you who are in games, you'll get it. For those of you who are trying to get into games, everything is NDA'd, and you usually can't talk about anything that you're working on ever. So until it comes out,
Wow.
and even then, sometimes you can't say you worked on it. But so I won't say that we can what it is, but we've built a metaverse prototype for
That's
a
awesome.
company,
Mhm.
which is really cool. Really, there's a case study for it actually up on our website if you want to go read
Cool.
the small case study.
Mhm.
And so we're really trying to help people who have IP or have a brand that they're trying to bring to life, right?
Mhm.
Um, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build bigger environments and bigger interactive products out, as opposed to, say, building out or finishing somebody's like idle game or something like that. We wouldn't turn that away, depending on the validation of the product and the size and scope and stuff like that. But we really are trying to work on those bigger projects that are going to be cross-platform, um, work and work with bigger IP, because that really it really bodes and well for, obviously for our studio. It looks good for the studio, but also
Mhm.
our executive team has a lot of experience bringing those brands and brand IP to
Okay.
interactive life. So we want to try and stay within that world.
Okay. So a studio or somebody who already has established IP, you want to turn that IP into a game, and you have the expertise for it, you have the experience and the credentials for it.
Yeah, if anyone's looking, man, we got the team ready to go. Like,
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, contact Mike at Hothead Games or Patrick at hotheadgames.com.
yeah,
Um, for those who want to get into like your kind of job and in marketing, do you have any tips for folks like that?
yeah. Learn how to use Discord and
Oh,
learn how to moderate. Um, if there is a niche that you are interested in, if you're like, hey, I love, I don't know, crafting survival crafting games,
mhm,
get involved with the community, become a name, right? You don't even have to become a name because that's putting too much pressure on it.
yeah.
Just learn how to use the platforms, right? Learn how to
Okay.
do it. Uh, and I think the easiest way is to get in from a community side or from the paid advertising side. Paid advertising is a little bit harder to learn because you need someone who's going to teach you. It's not super easy to become self-taught because you need money to spend. Whereas community, you can figure it out. You can make content. You can do it on your own. Learn how TikTok works. Learn how Snapchat works. Discord, Reddit, Twitch. Learn how to set up live streams. Everybody wants to do it. Nobody
Mhm.
knows how to do it properly, and it's always changing. You know, um, that
Yeah.
would be my biggest advice. And then, you know, go to business school. I hate to say it, but I hate to say it. But like you need to, or digital marketing school, depending on how you want to go about it, right? Like you need to know how it works. You
Mhm.
need to know how the stack works. You need to know and you need to understand the business side of things because everything is so performance based. There's so much money going into the development of a game and the marketing of a game that every dollar in needs to have a dollar and 1 cent out, right? Like
Mm.
you need to make sure and you need to make sure you know how to optimize every dollar that you're spending because every player has a value and every player has a lifespan. And you need to stack those cohorts and stack those revenues on top of each other to make sure that you're paying back the cost of developing the game and the long-term success of the game.
Mhm.
It's it's a product that is, you're selling art that lasts, and it's not
Hmm.
like buying it once and then it's gone. It's a perpetual machine, and you need to keep it operational. The only way
Mm.
you can do
Okay.
that is so. I guess those are my two biggest pieces of advice. Go to business school, which I feel like is probably pretty obvious,
Yeah.
and then just get involved with the communities that you want to get involved with, right? Learn how the
Yeah.
platforms work. They're free. You don't have to be an expert in them, but you need to know how to do them. Like I
Mhm.
don't, I'm never going to be the guy who's going to be the perfect TikTok person because I'm good on camera on TikTok. That's not me.
Right.
Do I know how the back end works? Yes. Do I know how to be in front of the camera and make good content for myself to present myself? That no, I probably should get better at it, but like it's just not me.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So a little bit of learn the business, learn how the stack works, and also like learn what the actual industry is using, which is like live streaming, being on camera, all the social media, like all that
Totally.
matters to be a good marketer in this day and age, especially in
Actually,
games.
one other thing too, because influencers are so important in gaming. If you're really serious about getting into it, knowing who the influencers are for certain categories, or knowing how to find them and being able to speak to them is huge. There's tools out there that can do it, but you're paying people to do that. If you have, if you can just be like, hey, I've got a Excel spreadsheet of 100 different influencers we could reach out to right now for this category, man, you get the conversation started when you walk into the room, right?
Wow.
You might not do it, but at least you can get the conversation started.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you're saying like get to know people in the community or prominent figures in the community, like as well as the other technical knowledge with business and marketing, eh? Okay.
Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power. I like it. Cool. Well, thank you so much for all your advice and sharing your journey so far at Hothead Games. From your humble beginnings playing Game Boy to now trying to get games to more hands and more people. And I that was a cool phrase you brought up, like art that lasts. Because business stuff aside, like a lot of these projects are forms of art to give to the world, and they don't come from nothing. They come from people's creativity and minds and work. Yeah,
totally. Yeah. It's been fun.
Yeah. Before we close out, I have 2 fun questions to ask you.
Okay. Let's
you
go.
Got 2 minutes. So this was actually kind of funny because I didn't expect it to relate to Hothead, but pretend that with Grow Up Level Up, I have suddenly made $1 million a month, and I want to create a game, and I'm going to hire Hothead Games for it. But I want this game to be based on you and your life, or it could just be a game that you would want to make and play as Mike Gallagher. Like, what kind of game would it be?
Oh, man. Okay.
We can workshop it too. We can workshop.
No, okay. No. I've been thinking about this for a while, because if I ever had, AAA games are so expensive to make. So I'm going to up it. Okay. So it's not $1 million. If someone said, I have $200 million for you to go make your own AAA console game.
Okay, yeah.
This is what I want to make. And I don't have a pitch for it. This is just all in my head. So forgive me if it makes absolutely no sense. So it would be both available online and offline.
Okay.
Right? It would take place. So the offline version, it's like an RPG, right? So the offline, oh man, this is gonna be so bad. I sorry to everybody as I try to stumble through my grand idea. So the offline version is like this dystopian world, right? Like this guy is wandering around, this like post-apocalyptic style world. The buildings are all smushed over, trees are growing out of everything, right? But they're, let's just say, for example, the apartment building is like fallen over, but inside everyone's apartment building is still people like living, but they're like jacked in, right? Like, so think like Ready Player One type thing, right? They're jacked in, that kind of thing. And you've been like disconnected from whatever this like system is. And so you're wandering around in like
the Matrix almost.
Yeah. It's kind of like, it's totally right. But it's like, so that's the offline mode, right? And so you got like this offline world map that you can explore. But then at the same time, you can log on, and it's the exact same map, but it's in a utopian world, right? So everything is exactly the same, where people are like, imagine like you're putting like AR glasses on, right? And all of a sudden you can just see all the other people who are walking around the world. Everything's shiny and new. And you go through like the same map, but it's still RPG, right? But it's like a completely different set of quests, right? And then in my ideal gaming experience, you would have quests that are online and offline, probably be some sort of like play to earn aspect in the online world where you can like set up shops and, do some crafting and that kind of thing, and like sell those, I don't know, I hate to say NFTs because that's like a
digital collectibles.
Right now, yeah, digital collectibles. But like you can sell your digital collectibles to other players, and you can play to earn on the online side. But at the same time, there's like this RPG element that you kind of go through, and it's all affected by like real world events. I think live ops is one of the most interesting things in gaming, and I don't ever think that it's utilized properly, especially in RPGs. because all I could think of is like, imagine if like you're walking through I don't know, Diablo 4, and
Mhm.
all of a sudden, like there's an earthquake and the whole world just shakes, and all the paths that you were trying to take somewhere have now like closed off, and like the map
Mhm.
is all new, or like, things have like opened up, and like, cities that you were once like porting to or whatever, uh, or portaling to, they're just destroyed and they're gone and like they're on flames, and there's like all these new sets of like quests that have opened up because you have to help people like rebuild their city so you can
Yeah.
like reopen these core like these key quests and all that kind of thing. I don't think that people utilize live ops in those types of games well enough, and I would love to see that kind of element, that real world tie-in element that
Mhm.
affects all players at once, kind of come to this like thing. So, anyways, I know it's like a crazy, crazy idea that probably doesn't make any sense. Um, the other one is a mobile game. It's a lot simpler. I just miss the old Mario Party style mini games that you can just play on a
Oh.
map with your friends, and you can just like like you go online, and it's turn based, and you can just like go and run your, kind of like Words with Friends. Hey, it's your turn. You go in, you play your little mini game,
Yeah.
you come back, but like super, super simple, but you're always playing with friends and it's social. And the idea is
Mhm.
just get back to those mini games you used to play back in the day.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
those are
well,
my patent pending. Nobody take those ideas. Those are my ideas.
or if you like this idea, please go fund Mike
Yeah.
and his
Yeah.
studio. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Well, the first one, that actually sounds really cool, like an offline, online MMO kind of thing, where one part affects the other. I'm trying to think of a game where they have done that, like world-changing events, all of the sudden. But those are all always really cool when like MMOs or those online games do those, like every map, I don't know, has a big crack through it or something now, or like it tells a
Yeah.
story. Fortnite obviously does it really well. They like had a cube for a while that would slowly move around the map.
I hate to admit this. I've never
Yeah.
played Fortnite.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, it's a game that you got to play with friends. Like if you
Yeah.
don't have like a crew that you run with every night, it can get kind of not fun, in my opinion.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
Um, yeah. As for your mobile games, also a really cool idea, an asynchronous Mario Party type of part of Words with your friends kind of game, right? Like you take your turn and then you wait until another one comes around.
Exactly. Exactly.
Cool.
Simplify it.
Cool. Okay. Cool. I really like those. I think you got the most cool games so far on this series.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to fund my studio, hey, give me a call.
Yeah. My second fun question for you before we close out, and you've already dropped many of these throughout the episode, but what is your one piece of wisdom you like to leave with the world?
I think people need to listen more. And I think the biggest piece of wisdom that I've learned in, my career and my life, I guess, is to be humble and to listen to what people are trying to tell you.
Mhm.
Um, that's it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a really good one. I think, like, in my experience, yeah, like there's always controversies online, and the first thing people want to do is to jump onto the bandwagon and put in their 2 cents. But if we just listened and took a step back, I think it would make it a lot more different.
Well, and I think even just beyond like the online noise, I think,
Mhm.
if somebody's trying to give you feedback, um, for example, it's so easy to get defensive. It's so
Mhm.
easy to say, nope, you're wrong. This is why. It's never gotten me anywhere in my experience.
Mm.
Especially when I was younger, I was like that. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm doing.
Mhm.
Um, I've already gotten this far
Yeah.
from
I
by
know
not
me best.
listening.
Yeah.
I know me best. Yeah. As honestly, as soon as I learned how to become humble and listen to what other people are saying to me and not take offense to it and just understand, my life changed drastically.
Mm.
Um, Work got better, opportunities got better, relationships got better, people trust you more. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's honestly, it's the biggest thing that I've ever learned to do for myself, and the thing I try to teach anybody that I can on my teams or anything like that is just listen.
That's awesome. I think that's an awesome piece of wisdom. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no worries.
And for our audience, thank you for joining us today on this episode of Grow Up, Level Up. If you liked what you heard, please give us a thumbs up and a 5-star rating on all the podcasts and YouTube. If you really liked what you heard, please consider subscribing both on Spotify, YouTube, and wherever you're listening. Like I said earlier, we have a Discord community now. The link is in the description below. We'd love to see you there. So when you're in there, make sure you say hi. You can always contact myself at Grow Up Level Up on all the socials, or at SamsonXP on Twitter and Instagram. Mike, if people want to get into contact with you or your team at Hothead Games, how can they do that?
So if you want to get in contact with me, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active, and I love to connect with people there, or Instagram. I don't mind if people want to follow along, as long as you don't mind too many pictures of my dog and my baby and my mountain bike. Maybe not in that order, but my Instagram is Vancouver_Mike. Yeah. Otherwise, if you're actually interested in working with us, hotheadgames.com.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us this week, and we'll see you all later.
Thanks, everybody. Smash that like button.